You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the roadblock looks rough ahead, and you're miles and miles away from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me.
Thanks, Simon.
No problem.
I know
That's a
it's
first for sure.
I know it's tough, but so we want to let everybody know we were listening to what Toy Story, Randy. That's what we were saying.
it?
You got a friend in me. Welcome to the show, Simon, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thanks
on
for
the
having
show.
me.
Yeah, no, just get comfortable, man.
Yep.
Totally get comfortable, relax a little bit. We're gonna have a great conversation today. We're gonna talk about windows and doors and a little bit more as well, too. No?
Correct, yeah.
How long you been doing this, man?
So I've been doing this for 23 years.
23.
Myself, yeah.
How young are you?
I am 43.
Oh, you're younger than me, man. Holy.
No, it's the gray hair that comes with windows and doors.
I don't know. Maybe I should just put a sign on the door there. Nobody younger than me anymore. That's it. No, we're on construction. It's all good. Simon, how do you pronounce your last name?
Pozneris.
Pozneris.
Right.
Okay. And it's Canadian Choice Windows and Doors, Vice President.
Correct.
Then the website is www.windowscanada.com. And your email is simon@windowscanada.com. And then to get on social media is Canadian_choice.
Correct. That's right.
And here we are. We're going to talk a lot about windows and doors right now.
Okay.
I want to do a quick shout out to Clint. I'm wearing his T-shirt. It's FS Fieldstone. Without me looking at the shirt, it's in black too as well. So that's a quick shout out. Where do you want to begin this, man? Like,
Whatever, it's up to you. We can talk about Canadian Choice.
why did you guys, or why did you choose windows and doors?
Just purely by accident. I used to work for a company doing some telemarketing when I was, 16, 17 years old, and just like a part-time job. If you remember those annoying guys that used to call you and offer you, whatever home services there are.
They still do.
Still do, exactly.
Yeah,
Less so now.
Some guy in India about ductwork or something.
Right,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So before it was basically students, like they used to do it from here. And just basically stayed in that field. Got some friends, connections, and etc. And eventually decided to sort of go on my own, partner up with some people. Went on my own, and 23 years later, here we are.
What was the window and door business back then like?
So it was very similar as to what it is right now, minus the whole internet and kind of the world of internet and the digital side. But pretty much nothing has changed for most, at least. It was a lot of the sort of the mom and pop shops and a lot of the contractors kind of doing their own stuff, pretty much getting in there, buying the window somewhere, installing it at basically going to homeowners, installing in their house, doing a renovation, sort of the old mom and pop shop kind of thing.
So it was you and okay, so you're the vice president. So is there a partner as well too, or?
Yes, I got a partner. It's actually my brother.
Okay.
So we own the business together.
Okay.
So Canadian Choice was around before that, and we just kind of bought it out and made it what it is today. And yeah, so he's my brother. So it's sort of like a family business that
What's
we own
his
together.
name?
His name is Norman.
Norman. So what did you guys, when you guys were talking about taking this over and starting it and doing it your way, what were the conversations like at that time?
Well, back then there was about nothing, but we were 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
But
everybody was like that.
But
right?
it was kind of.
But it's grown into something now.
It's grown into something now. So over the years, I mean, we've invested a lot of money, we invested a lot of resources, time, and etc. Learned along the way. Now we're national. We're right across Canada. So from Vancouver to Ottawa, we're in every major city in Canada. Okay, we have over 300 employees.
Wow.
We have our own manufacturer.
Manufactured here in Canada.
Yeah, we manufacture right here in Ontario in Woodbridge.
Okay.
So our own installation teams and etc. And we've expanded into other businesses as well, like home services, for example. So we were kind of, at the end of the day, it's all about systems. So we've developed some systems that we were successful with, and now we're putting them into other home services, for example, like HVAC and insulation and potentially basically everybody that energy services that homeowners would need.
So you're contributing to the building envelope.
Right.
You're
Pretty
working
much
on
to
the house, and then
exact-
people come along and they're asking questions, and then you guys are offering solutions.
Absolutely, right. So it's not only about, it's not only about us coming in and changing the windows. That's not the important part. The important part is to making sure that people are comfortable in their homes, to making sure that, they can afford it. And this is like we have a financing arm that gets into this and helps homeowners out with that. And basically that the whole building envelope is proper.
So I know I want to get into the history of the products, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are designing it a certain way,
Right.
and did you guys look at the market and realize that there could have been better mousetraps, for lack of a better term? You know what I mean?
The most important thing, and not to sort of under, I forget the word I'm looking for. Not to underwhelm, sort of.
Okay.
Not to kind of underestimate what we do, but a window, in the end of the day, a window is made up of, two parts, right? For example, it's made out of glass, it's made out of vinyl.
Yep.
Or any other material that will hold it up. So, the most important thing is you have to use good components. You have to make a window that's going to last, 25-year warranty, something that's going to be energy efficient. And a lot of the windows today that are made today by bigger manufacturers, they do have that. But it's only about, for the success rate of anything, it's only about 10%. The rest is kind of everything else behind it. Customer service, installations, assessments, choosing the right product for the right climate, for the right side of the house even. You can even push it to that.
So in the last 20 years, I can definitely say that, I guess, in the mid to late 90s, it was pretty generic. What was it, like 5 colors you were going with? You were going
Right.
white, sandalwood, or whatever. Like it was, and people weren't getting into the darker tones either,
Right.
because there was concerns about darker tones, right?
Correct.
Now everybody is just strictly going darker tones.
Right. So now it's actually even easier because there's only 2 colors there now.
What are the
It's
2 colors
just
that are pushing
black
now?
and iron ore are the 2 colors that everybody's kind of going towards. So there's really nothing else that anybody buys. Well,
Really?
there's the traditional white,
Yeah.
right? And then the rest is pretty much black or iron ore.
So why are they choosing those 2 colors over what?
I guess is the trends, right? The modern trends. Like even if you look at your office here, right? The inside is all black, like the window frames and the inside are black.
Yeah.
It's the new trends that's in magazines that I guess designers are liking that. Stands out more.
What were the hurdles for you guys when you guys were having to deal with the darker tones?
So the early, well, not even the early, but still to this day, some paints are not set for that. They're not set to withhold the sun exposure, the weather exposure.
Is there any risk in the winter exposure?
It's not. It's mainly the summer exposure because what happens is the colors do fade.
All right.
Right. And also another thing about that is the colors are very. The paint becomes very shiny, and you don't want to see a shiny finish on your windows.
So you guys are, it's painted matte to begin with.
Right. So now that's what we do. Well, not to begin with, vinyl itself is very shiny. It's a shiny material. So you can't really make it matte. You have to, whenever you apply paint, that paint becomes shiny. So most manufacturers today don't even have a matte paint because of that process.
What is it, more like a satin or something like that?
So, well, right now what we do is we do like a satin or a sanded finish. So we put some sand in the paint.
Okay.
And that's how we finish it. So it looks a little bit rougher, right? But it's not the natural look for vinyl. So when the natural look of painting a vinyl would be like a very high gloss sheen.
So you're saying basically 3 colors right now,
Pretty much.
but in the next 10, 20 years, what are you still keeping that same kind of tone?
Well, probably it's going to go back. History repeats itself.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I figured. Is I
They
can see
kind of
that
go back.
going back that way. But you're right. I mean, even me, when I walk around my neighborhood, I'm seeing a lot of people. It doesn't matter what the brick tone is.
Right.
They're choosing black. They're
Yeah.
choosing darker tones. Right.
And some people are just doing it just because they saw black somewhere. But like, let's say, some homes, the black doesn't even look good, but they still put it just because it's the new trend.
What's the trend nowadays? Are they going black out, black in, or are they black out, white in?
So it depends. I mean, if it's a non-designer house, and people are not risk takers per se, right? So it's kind of like white in, black out. But the ones that are actually seeing, the whole process through, because if you do the windows black in, you have to match the whole house, the rest of it.
Of course.
right? Then that means you can't paint your trim white. It's not gonna look good. Your jams are gonna have to be repainted in some different.
You
colors.
can always do a wood finish jam on the interior, and the wood will look good with the black.
Sure, sometimes, but a lot of people are doing modern, right? So they don't want to do a wood finish, or they don't want to spend the money on because to do a proper wood finish on the inside, you'd have to do oak or whatever, something like a high end wood, right? And most people are opting out for either a vinyl finish, vinyl trim. That's what we do as well.
Okay.
So it's sort of like a Lego, very it's pretty.
So there's a lot of customizing
Yeah,
going on. Like you can
exactly.
you order a unit, and then you can based on what the exterior is like and what you want to do for a jam extension or what have you,
Sure.
or what the interior is going to be like. You have all these options attached to that,
Exactly.
and then the clients could always just choose.
They can just choose from one or the other, or finish the inside themselves, for example, which some people do decide, right? Like if you want a poplar 6-inch casing on the inside of the house, sure. We'll even do it for you. Like we have carpenters in house that will do it for them. But it's not. It wouldn't be considered the norm, sort of thing.
All right, so Simon, walk me through your manufacturing process. I mean, because you guys have set up shop here, and I guess my question to you is, why keep the manufacturing here? Why not outsource it elsewhere, right? I'm assuming you tell me, is glass still coming from the States?
The glass, Canada doesn't have a glass manufacturer at all.
We did at some point.
12 years ago, I think they left. Or
right, and I don't know what happened, but it just went missing.
Just not enough volume.
Yeah.
That's it. Because
But you guys are getting the glass from down south then?
Right. So the glass is coming from the States. Yeah. It's we either use cardinal glass.
Yep.
Or Guardian glass, and for some instances we use Saint-Gobain, which is French.
Okay.
Right. So, but most of the glass comes from down south. Anyway, it's just I don't know. Canada is not. I guess you need a huge market, and between U.S. is the one that has all the queries and stuff to get sand and make the glass and etc. So it's just easier there. And during COVID, it was actually very prevalent that Canada got kind of a little bit screwed because the U.S. manufacturers said, you know what, sorry guys, you're not getting glass, we're getting it first.
And that's how we saw 4 to 6 weeks turn into 16 to 20 weeks.
Exactly, at least, right?
So we were back on track now?
Yeah, right now we're back on track.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were actually at about, to tell you the truth, about a 9 months, 8 to 9 month waiting list. And it wasn't just because of the glass. It was also the demand that was really pent up.
Yeah.
And the demand for for installation crew, for installers.
Yep.
And all that kind of put together, and constant closures of the manufacturer, because somebody would get, especially the first year, somebody would get sick, and then you'd have to close down the whole place for a week until it kind of got back to normal.
Yeah, like right now, all the window and door guys that are listening, they're like, yeah, we went through all that for 2 years, right? It was just
absolutely.
It was absolutely insane that the lead times, to tell clients that this is your lead time, when we were so used to
especially at the beginning, right? Then after a while, like everybody kind of got used to it. But at the beginning, that was what, if you're in somebody's house and you tell them, here, I'm going to do your windows, but
see you next year.
See you next year, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't sound...
Which is something you probably didn't think that you would say ever in this industry, right?
And the worst thing was that, nobody knew that this was going to happen. So, for example, if it was like September and somebody's building a house and they're like, okay, well, we need windows for November, and then you're just getting them in September of next year.
And that was a challenge because you had to deal with framers that had to have everything exactly. Because you guys, I guess, at that point, you're manufacturing on spec, on drawings, not on site.
Sometimes we do it on site. I mean, I'd prefer to do it on site. So when I speak to builders, I tell them all, you know what, I'd rather just do it on site after you finish with your plans.
Yeah, but during that.
During that time,
it was insane because now you'd have to keep a house a certain condition for so long, right? Yeah.
Actually, my neighbor that he got, I'm not sure where he got the windows from, but he was building a house right in the back of me, and he had 3 holes in his house for about 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. Couldn't close the house. The house was all finished inside, drywall and everything, right? But it was
he's still waiting for his windows.
Yeah. Wow. For 3 of them. I guess something got screwed up on the way, but 3 of them were.
All right, so Simon, I mean, divulge how much as you want to divulge regarding the manufacturing side of things, right? Like the process and everything like that.
So the process we have is actually we So we have it's sort of a different business than what we do on the retail side. So you could say Canadian Choice, we have two different avenues. Okay. So Canadian Choice per se, we're concentrated on consumer direct.
Okay.
So we do everything from manufacturing to installations to service to financing and etc. And then our manufacturing side, which is Draft Lock Windows, that's our brand.
Yep.
Okay, so and this is where we actually deal with some of contractors, builders, mostly custom home builders, usually, right? Renovators, and you can buy them in different. We deal with the states. You can buy them in different department stores, like hardware stores, kind of thing.
What's the difference between the two brands?
So the Canadian Choice is our sort of the retail arm.
Okay.
Right? So we sell our own product through the Canadian Choice brand.
But the Draft Lock, you guys are like, that's a style of windows, right?
A Draft Lock is our window brand, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
So what's the difference between that and just another Canadian Choice?
So we enhance it, right? So our Draft Lock brands, our Draft Lock windows, we have enhanced security hardware. The glass and spacers that we use are different. So we have actually a 4.5-inch frame versus sort of the industry standard and the regular builder stuff. They all go with a 3.25-inch frame.
Okay.
And we have a 4.5-inch frame. We have foam filled frames. We have the vinyl that we use is not recycled vinyl. Right, so it's actually the color of it is very white.
Okay. Compared
to others, if you see some windows are there and they're not. Well, right now you start seeing it less
so
because
it's new vinyl. It's like
sort of like the new way of, like, it's not made from recycled pellets.
Okay.
It's made from, basically it's made from whatever, like new vinyl that from powder from scratch.
Is it true that white from recycled pellets leaves like a slight blue hue to it?
Right.
So it doesn't, and it kind of looks weird when sun, I guess, hits it, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So and it's also some additives that they have in there, but right now it's less visible. So a lot of the manufacturers are getting away with it because people are painting their windows.
So you're covering it up.
So you're not really seeing it.
Okay.
But the reality is the vinyl is weaker. The walls are thinner, and at the end of the day, if you cover it, you're just kind of like covering up whatever your mistakes, sort of thing.
I get it. So I still want to go through the manufacturing of it. Yeah.
So the manufacturing is we get all our profiles, our vinyl profiles. The way it works is basically we have a certain sort of our own line, which is the Draft Lock windows. And like I said, right, with the it's our own profile, so nobody can get that same profile.
Okay.
It's sort of like a patented to us, not a patent per se, but it's a die that we hold with a vinyl extruder, which is the biggest in Canada. It's like Vision Profiles. Everybody knows who they are.
Okay.
And they make it specially custom for us, so they hold all our molds, and we get it from them, and we have 3 lines in our shop that do different kinds of windows, and we basically automated lines. So we do everything from cutting, fusion welding, corner cleaning, then putting the glass in. Like I said, we get the glass from United States. Depends on the manufacturer. There's some glass suppliers here, but they're just suppliers. So
they're getting it from the same place.
They're getting it from they're just putting it together.
Okay.
Right. So for example, we use Cardinal glass. So you can buy Cardinal glass in 2 different ways. You can buy Cardinal glass just the sheets, sort of, and put it together here. That's what a lot of manufacturers do. Glass manufacturers, I mean. Mm-hmm. Or you can just get the sealed units directly from Cardinal glass. And that's pretty exclusive. We do have that. We do use that with them. And again, during COVID, it kind of...
It just added time.
Yeah, it just added time, but it did have really more problems than anybody else. So I think now Canada is kind of, we're transitioning sort of not using them, even though it is a good product to have. But we're trying to do more kind of our own and keep it at home, keep it in Canada, and so we're less dependent on whatever happens there, right?
So when you guys were sitting down and designing and coming up with the draft lock system, you guys were making it a certain way for what reasons?
So there's two. So we use a 4.5-inch system.
Yeah.
Which is pretty rare because, well, first of all, there's more vinyl on it. And what happens is it actually saves on the building envelope. So, by I guess, building code or, CSA code, your glass has to sit inside the building envelope.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what happens is when you put a 3.25-inch window, right, it sits a little bit on the outside.
Yeah, it's outside now.
Right? So what we do is we have a sash that's 4.5, a frame that's 4.5, and the glass sits recessed inside. So actually, when you install it, you don't have to add additional brick mold. You could if you wanted to, but you don't have to add additional brick mold. Your glass will always sit on the inside, which gives it protection. Obviously, you're saving the building envelope, right?
Yeah.
This way we can get better ratings on it as well, right? There's ER rating, U value, and etc. A lot of it depends on glass, but a lot of it depends on where the window will actually sit. And plus the look of it, now we're able to make it slimmer. So a lot of the thing with vinyl windows was that a lot of people were crazy about, the thick frames.
Yeah.
That
they were
come
getting,
along with
they
it.
were getting too heavy. Yeah.
Right. So what we did is because we can do a 4.5-inch depth
Yeah.
on the actual frame, we can now decrease the size of the actual sash. And when I say sash, I mean the actual window frame itself, right?
Okay.
And it allows enough room for hardware. It allows enough room for and more glass, right? So, and that's what's kind of one of the reasons why we designed that window. So we have the same window available in a sort of a similar window available in a regular 3.25, but this 4.5 is what we suggest to all our consumers, especially like retail consumers. It's the number one. It's a huge savings that people don't realize when they go for a regular 3.5.
So I remember like 25, 30 years ago, I guess the majority here in Canada was mostly casement windows, what everybody was going with, right? Unless you had a specific kind of home in a Toronto area or an older area, you'd have a double hung kind of situation. But then a lot of people, because of building envelope and energy efficiency, double hungs were not the best option. So that's why they started going with casement. But then casement had its drawbacks as well too, right? What are you guys seeing today? What are clients asking for these days?
Casements, I think casements and fixed
Yeah.
is the number one thing, right? People are asking for larger windows.
Yeah, you can't make windows big enough for people these days.
Right, exactly. So
but there's still a house that has to hold together.
Of course. Of course, yeah. You can't just do. And for example, like a casement window, you cannot do more than 36 inches wide, for example. And that's
What's
already...
the maximum height on that?
So if I'm doing a 36 inch, I think like 68 would be the maximum height.
Okay.
Which is still decent.
That's big.
Yeah. But a lot of people want, like, they have that window that they're looking at. They want it open. They want the whole thing, sort of. But there's solutions for that as well. So we do like awning windows, which is kind of a horizontal version of a casement window.
Yeah.
Right? When it goes up, sort of.
Yeah.
Like rolls up like an awning.
So how much bigger can you make those ones versus a casement?
So those ones you can just make a lot wider. We can do them like 60 by 60.
Okay, that's a good size.
Yeah, so they can be. It's just the width that needs to be accommodated, right? And we also have that's very unique in Canada. We have a Euroline line.
Okay.
Euroline line, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a tilt and turn window.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of people are asking for these days.
Right. Yeah. So it's came like the technology came out from Germany. There's only, I believe, in Canada there's 3 companies that actually manufacture them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just us. There's one in Winnipeg and one in Vancouver. Well, at least on a large scale. There's some smaller ones that do it here as well. But on a large scale, we're the only, one of the only ones that manufacture it. And that allows, so that window you can actually make the size of pretty much any door and open it. The only drawback with that is most of the time the house has to accommodate. So because it opens to the inside of the house, it interferes with the blinds, and people
get upset
because they're gonna have to lose their blinds and they're gonna have to get something else, and etc. But we do find that actually, funny enough, we did a poll yesterday of how many people do change their blinds after getting windows, and it's like 70%.
They change their blinds.
Yeah, after getting new windows, just because the blinds don't fit
The old
or they just don't look
Yeah.
good anymore, right? Stuff like that.
Are you a contractor looking for a reliable partner in home improvements? Look no further than Canadian Choice Home Improvements. Canadian Choice has been the go-to choice for contractors across Canada for over 30 years. With their commitment to quality and customer satisfaction, they're the perfect match for your contracting business. Whether it's windows, doors, HVAC, or installation, Canadian Choice has a wide range of top-notch products that will impress your clients. Their expert team will guide you through the selection process and ensure you find the perfect fit for every project. And that's not all. Canadian Choice offers competitive pricing and flexible payment options, making it easier for you to manage your projects without breaking the bank. So if you're a contractor looking for a trusted home improvement partner, contact Canadian Choice Home Improvements today. Visit their website at mycanadianchoice.com, Canadian Choice Home Improvements, where quality and craftsmanship meet contractor satisfaction. Let me do a little bit of history in construction. You ready for this?
Sure.
This is stuff that I pretend that I know, but I don't, and then I ask if you know.
All right.
In England, glass became common in windows of ordinary homes only in around what century?
Good question. Probably like
17th.
14th.
17th.
No? Oh, yeah.
Actually, you know
Really?
what? You're saying 14th, 17th century. So whereabouts windows made up of panes of flattened animal horn were used as early as 14th century.
Yeah.
So modern style floor to ceiling windows became possible only after the industrial plate glass making process was perfected. What was the original purpose of windows in homes? Oh, nobody told
I'm
me.
guessing to keep out. Well, no, it's something. Yeah, probably something to do with light or sun.
Yeah, it was
Right?
basically in the first homes, windows were more than a decorative way to light the room. Originally, there was no glass, simply a crude opening designed to let fresh air. It was
Okay.
just to let air inside the house, that's all, because you were always cooking inside,
Right. True.
right? So, and then did medieval homes have windows?
Not that I remember from history books, but
Houses in the Middle Ages did have windows, but for most people, for most people, these windows were simply a small opening to let some light in. As you know, when you travel, you see these tiny windows. Wooden shutters were used to block the wind. Windows in these houses were typically quite small. Often they were simply holes in the wall. Did Vikings have glass windows? This is the last one. The beads,
No idea.
small, a little window glass was used in where either left plain or decorative. Different wealthier homes had them, but it was very rare. And apart colors were with extra glass applied to the surface and new from a small object such as plain pieces that form blobs and trials. So they basically just made them as decorative light openings. That's what the Vikings did. So a little bit of history in construction there. I want to ask you about weather. Obviously, we're in Canada. We have a harsh
right.
2 seasons, and then we have a mild 2 seasons.
Yeah. True.
So we always have to consider build and any products in
Right.
manufacturing have to factor in our harsh winters and our harsh summers, right?
Yeah. So with Windows, it's actually it's a funny thing because we actually have more than 4 climates here.
Explain. What do you mean?
For example, because we're all across the country, so we actually learned this the hard way.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, in Vancouver, you don't want to over insulate your windows, right? Because you're never going to get that minus 40 or minus
You'll
whatever,
never see it.
right? But you'll always have high humidity.
Yes.
So if you over insulate, your humidity is going to stay inside the house even more, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
So that's like
point.
little things like that, right? That kind of come up with the different climates that we have. But generally, for the colder weather, I suggest to everybody, whoever is getting windows, is to go for triple glass. That's probably the number one thing that that you can help yourself in terms of getting a good product.
Is it the same benefit on the flip side with the heat?
It is. It's both. It's
Okay.
just much better. It's noise reduction, heat, cold, retention of. You can put any kind of you can put different coating on the glass. So the low emissivity glass, like low E glass.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter which one you put. If you have triple glass, it's the benefits are I mean, they're just there. There's no question about it. You should definitely, that should be probably my opinion, that should be part of the building code.
Okay.
Right? Just because
there's lots of things that should be part of the building code.
Yeah, right, and they're that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's comfort, it's reduction of humidity inside the home, it's reduction of condensation inside the home. Because a lot of our homes, what we don't understand is sometimes you get like, you've probably noticed your windows fog up a lot. Well, most people do. Right?
I've noticed a friend of mine who ended up buying some cheap windows, and then within a few years they all fogged up, and then he had to do it again. So
so here's where the trick comes in with that actually. So if they fog up in between the glass, they're not good, right?
Yeah.
But what happens is if you put in, the better you seal your windows, the more they will fog up on the inside of the home. So the better windows you're gonna have, the more problem you're gonna have with condensation. Pretty much.
Okay,
That's
but isn't condensation and humidity? You can control some humidity. In
you
your
can
house,
try.
right?
You can try. But a lot of things, for example, if you don't, I mean, older homes especially, right? Or they have smaller rooms.
Yeah.
So if you have a smaller room, you have less airflow. Older homes don't have a vent underneath a window, right? So you can't blame a window for, right? There is, for example, attic fans. So there's a lot of things to know, and we suggest actually to every one of our customers when we get it, we give them a list as to what they can do to reduce condensation. Because a lot of people, when they have new windows, when they have old windows, they don't see it because pretty much the air escapes.
Yeah, they're leaking.
They're leaking, right? When they get brand new windows, all of a sudden their house is like you can't see out the window because now the air has nowhere to escape, especially
they need to adjust the house.
Right, but a lot of homes don't have proper ventilation, and a lot of homes don't have proper, especially like the older homes, right? Or sort of like the cookie cutter homes from, some builders are better than others, but there were some builders that didn't install, like, I think, what is the HRV system? That only started about 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
I think a little bit more than that. It was probably about maybe 15.
Maybe 15, right? So anything before that doesn't have an HRV system doesn't have proper ventilation.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you change your windows in those homes, that's what you're most likely going to get if it's installed properly.
What's the number one reason why clients are wanting to change their windows? Is it because of failure of the existing windows?
I think a lot of it is looks. Okay, ease of operation. A lot of it is failure. Yeah, I'm sure there was quite a few manufacturers in the 90s and 2000s that a lot of the builders used across subdivisions, and they were just they're obviously bankrupted right now, but they were really not a good quality product, and it failed a lot of the times.
Were they like products that were designed to just fail by a certain period of time?
I don't know if it was on purpose.
Okay.
Right? But it was definitely, it's hard to say now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know the details. But it did happen.
I'm just finding that a lot of products nowadays are not necessarily built to last as long as we remember them being when we were kids, right?
That's true.
Like I talk about appliances all the time. I mean, I'm sure that green washer dryer set is still working somewhere.
Absolutely.
But it was replaced because of aesthetics, and you renovate and you change and you upgrade. But the thing is, now you got new units that need more maintenance and more care.
Absolutely. And they need, and they go faster, right? Today, nobody fixes, for example, a TV. Nobody fixes a TV. They just buy a new one.
Yeah.
Right? So the same goes for, everything. But but for Windows, I think the main thing is the, two things, right? It's the mechanisms, like the hardware, to open and close. And a lot of people have concern about, casement windows and et cetera, that, you got the crank handle.
Yeah.
So that, and they break all the time, but they don't. It's just something that was done before and something that was pretty much like from hardware that was brought over from overseas.
Yeah.
And not certified and not qualified. And that's why kind of a lot of there's a lot of gimmicks out there that say, oh, don't use casement windows, for example, because I don't know, those handles break.
I'll argue that. I mean, the thing is, it depends on who's manufacturing it, right?
Right,
And it's
exactly.
the quality of it. Obviously,
Right.
there's good, better, or worse, or whatever, right? So it
Sure.
just doesn't matter. It's really about the manufacturing, the quality of the product.
The quality of the
I don't think
product.
it's the style of the window. I think you can still get a good double hung. You can get a good awning, a good
Absolutely.
casement. You get a good tilt and turn, whatever. They're all
You can, and then you have to make sure that it's installed properly as
Yeah.
well, that it works, right? Because the installation is a big part.
Are clients aware of, like, I know that I've had this conversation with roofers before where, one side of the house gets more Mother Nature than the other sides,
Right.
right? So, like, why do I need to re-roof the whole house at that point? Are they thinking the front of the house needs to be replaced, all the windows and doors, but not the back of the house? But at that point, you should actually be doing all the units.
Sure, just to even have that, the same quality everywhere,
Yeah.
right? It's just you can use different, for example, like low E glass, which is low emissivity glass. If your house is facing the west or backing onto the west and your master bedroom is there, right? What you want to do is you want to put a darker tint on it so it reflects UV rays more. And at the front, you might not want to do that. But the other part of it is that low E glass that's a little bit darker is not as energy efficient as the one that's lighter. So it becomes kind of
there's
like
a
a
trade-off
balance.
at that
Yeah,
point.
there's a trade-off and there's a balance to it. And it depends too, because that glass, it's a little bit of a government. I mean, if you've heard of the incentives that are out there right now for windows and doors,
I've heard of
and et cetera.
them. I don't like them, but
Yeah. So it actually gives room for whatever. And that's kind of the problem, right? So, I mean, you could, for example, everybody gets right now, if you put a window that is Energy Star approved and etc., double glass, you get $175 back. I think if you're an Enbridge customer,
okay.
if you have the proper, I think they do it through Enbridge right now, and if it's a proper, they get an assessment in the house, they get in there,
Yeah.
and Enbridge, some kind of a program with the government, gives them back a rebate. But what happens is, to qualify for the rebate, you can either go for the ER, which is it's called an energy rating,
Okay.
right? Or you can qualify through a U value. So if you were going to ask me, I would say U value is the proper way of measuring windows, because you're measuring both heat loss and heat gain and your comfort level.
Yep.
Whereas ER is pretty much how much sun you're getting in the house. So Toronto, it's actually, and even places like Calgary, have 250 days of sun.
Wow.
Right? So that sun that's getting inside the house and that Energy Star rated window is actually frying you and making your air conditioner run like crazy.
And that,
Right.
it goes back to the whole point that your house, right? You have to
Right.
pay attention to every element. It's not just a matter of installing the windows and doors and expecting magic from there, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's but you have to kind of balance it out, right? So you have to balance out how you're going to do it and what's going to make you comfortable at the end of the day. Because on the rating side and whatever it is, it's not meant for every house.
Are a lot of clients like I've had so many conversations where they're literally going from season to season, never opening up their units.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess it's the tendencies today.
Nobody likes fresh air anymore.
It's 2023.
I know, but as soon as it got warm, I cracked
true.
open everything.
Right. That's how I do the same.
Everything.
I actually crack my windows in the winter all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Just to let in fresh
You
air.
want some fresh air. I mean, I don't have an HRV. And I'm glad I don't have an HRV. I don't agree with an HRV. But the thing is, like, it's nice to have fresh air circulating through your house. Your house is still a living,
Absolutely.
breathing thing.
Absolutely. You should have it. And that's how you get rid of condensation.
But you guys are educating clients on that. Like, you're letting them know, like, don't seal from one season to the next, right?
So for example, after we do our work and etc., we sent out a whole package, right, saying that, here guys, this is how you maintain your windows, because there's no such thing as maintenance free in your house.
No.
It doesn't exist. You got to maintain everything.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you don't have to stand there and sand them down or wash them or anything, but at least you have to make sure that you open them. You put some lube on them, make sure that they work properly, right?
Yeah.
A. B, if you have condensation, you open up in a room, you open up the window, you let the condensation out, you close the window, everything works well.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't want that extra, especially in the winter. So some people get shocked, actually. We have a whole dedicated service department, and honestly, probably 30% of the calls that they get during the winter is my windows are fogging up, and they tell people, open your window. And people are like, no way. That's just an oxymoron kind of thing, right? And then they do it, and they're like, oh, yeah, right, that works.
Because they're afraid to
right?
let some fresh air in,
exactly.
right? That's all it is.
And that's a huge like industry-wide issue that it's hard to explain to people. This is the way it works, because people are changing, like you said, are the windows for aesthetics or whatever other reasons, right? But they're not getting into the whole building envelope, sort of the proper way of the building envelope.
Well, I think every homeowner should actually be understanding that. If not, take a course or go online and do some research on it.
And there's a lot of things you can read online
house,
for sure.
right? Like, it's
Absolutely.
just like they only do it when I guess the furnace breaks down. Then they start inquiring about certain things. It's like you said, like the windows start fogging up or something. They only inquire about it then.
Exactly.
But they should be doing it beforehand.
Before it needs maintenance. Everything needs maintenance. And speaking to that, like, I mean, things would last a lot longer if people maintained them.
Of course.
Right.
Speaking of which, like, what is the cycle of? I know you talked about with the draft lock that they're 25-year warranty, but obviously they can last longer than that.
We've had windows. I'm sure they can last more than that.
Yeah.
Right. It's just we find that, actually we have clients that are coming back in 10 years because they don't like the color.
So they're just
saying
aesthetic. That's all.
Yeah, aesthetic. I mean, they are now more energy efficient. Right, the windows. I mean, the glass itself. Yeah. So you get like the triple glass, and you get a better spacer and etc. So some of the clients are coming back, and I mean, saying, here, I want a better window now. And a lot of actually back to the architectural styles, 10 years ago, if you remember windows with grids, they were in every house. Yeah. Now, nobody does them anymore. Right now, like we practically don't see many of those. In terms of replacement.
No, and before the market doesn't want that.
Right, exactly. It's all more like modern, sleeker lines and etc. Right.
It's really interesting. I'd like to know what, I mean, it'd be nice to get into a DeLorean and just figure out, like, what's it going to be like 20 years from now, right?
Yeah, it would be. I'm guessing it's going to go back to what it was 20 years before, and just in a modern way.
Yeah, stop by the gambling center as well, too. But no, I mean, like, I'm just fascinated by where it came from and where it's going to go. Right. And then what people, I guess a lot of it has to do with the market. So you get a certain type of homeowner is designing a certain kind of way. Right. And that's why they're kind of going that route.
Could be that.
But it also, it's like when you go with trimless interiors, no casing or anything like that, it starts to, I guess the installation, because I want to get into installation now, has to be more critical at that point.
When you do that, that's just kind of more on your framer than anything else.
Yeah.
Because when we come in after framers, let's say, and we don't do much of the installation in new builds. It's usually the framers that do the installation. Yeah. Right. But let's say when we come in after some framers, and the homeowner has said, I want, I don't want, I want trimless.
Yeah, I don't want casing on it.
I don't want casing on it. Right. And you're coming in, but the whole wall is crooked. So what do you do? You can't really do that, right? They had nothing to do with the windows. I mean, we put them in square and plumb. Yeah. But if the drywall on it or the drywall attached to
there's not much. Well, there's a lot you can do, but it's not really applicable to you guys.
Not to us. I mean, we can't really do much, right? We can't really fix it. So what I suggest is in those cases, we don't put. So when the window comes from the factory, let's say the framer installs it, what we suggest is we don't put it's called a drywall extension. Okay. So basically it's a little lip that's inside, and you slide the drywall in there. Yeah. So we actually suggest not to put that, and just to butt the drywall right against the window, because the window is always going to be straight. I mean, it can't come out not straight. Yeah. Right. So the rest is going to be on the drywaller or on whoever is going to do it.
But you guys are usually having that conversation when they're putting the order in, and or they're changing their mind on the last minute.
It happens.
Sometimes, yeah. But if the design of the house on the interior is already going one way, then how can you all of a sudden?
Well, because then they get the cost of how much it's going to do trimless, and they're like,
of course,
and they're like, whoa,
that's where I was going.
Let's revert back.
It's actually more expensive, and then also you guys are still installing in a certain way, so that's fine. But then for them to do a jam extension or do a caseless system, then it's more money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus,
Well,
also that conversation has to be happen. If it's new construction, it has to happen at the frame
yeah,
stage,
at
right?
the new construction it does.
Because then now the drywaller has to be aware of that. The mudder has
Of
to be
course.
aware of it. Everything has to be aware.
And the
of
quotes that they're getting from the drywallers or
different.
whatever are different, right?
Yeah.
As well. But I mean, for renovation, like for the retrofit side, we practically don't see frameless, unless we're not seeing frameless.
Because you're changing the whole house at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
And not a lot of people are going to do that.
No, we're just kind of. I mean, an average job for us is about 1 day.
Okay.
So, like a 2,500 square foot house with 15 windows or so, we would come in. We'd have a crew of 3 to 4 people and finish it in 1 day.
Wow.
Full from taking out the old, installing new, shim, foam, doing either capping on the outside or whatever they choose, right? And the inside with trim on the inside.
So you guys, okay, let's talk doors.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously clients are a lot more critical now on doors.
Right.
And then are they getting just as loony, like bigger, swing, glass, heavier?
You know what? Glass became kind of obsolete in doors.
Everyone's going back to solid panels
Everybody's
now.
going back to solid panels and sort of having that window in the like the glass on the side or whatever. But a lot of people are going back to solid panels. And the whole, if you look homes 10, 15 years from back, everybody was going for wrought iron.
Yeah.
And everybody's going for stained glass.
Yeah.
And now it's just like plain sort of your smooth or wood looking door, and that's it. And a big handle. That's what people are liking. So that modern, again, back to that modern, sleek look.
Are the doors getting bigger? I remember.
Yeah,
doors
now
being
you
at
can get
42 inches, and I
there's
thought that was a big
there's
door.
you can get a 42-inch door now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. People always liked. I find that people always like big doors just because they have a perception that you can bring more stuff in.
What's the rule of thumb? I mean, I know that you get a lot of the older homes, and you got a 96-inch ceiling height, which is 8 feet, and a lot of clients will want an 8-foot door for whatever reason.
You can't do that.
You can't do that,
Yeah,
right?
it's not
But they'll
gonna
just want a bigger door than a standard 6'8" door, right?
No, or they could. Yeah, it's impossible because you have the headers built in already.
Yeah.
So you can't move the headers.
So if you wanted an 8-foot door, you needed a minimum ceiling height of 9
A
feet.
minimum, right?
Okay.
And I mean, unless you want to get into construction, you want to make sure that that door that was there already was 8 feet high.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you have to cut up the wall, you got to move the headers, you got to redo your framing and etc. Right? And a lot of the places, for example, take some areas in the city, right, in Toronto, or some prominent areas. As soon as you start touching your house, your neighbors will for sure call the city inspector and tell them that this guy's door was 6'8" and now it's 8 feet. You got to do something about it.
Yeah,
And
but
you're
replacing units, you don't need a building.
no, but
permit.
if you're moving headers, you do,
Yes,
right?
You do at that point.
So that's why it's
So what's unique about the doors that you guys are making?
pretty much. So the door industry is a little bit different. So we have different kinds of doors. So if we're talking entrance doors,
Yeah.
we don't actually make them ourselves. We have a partner that we work with.
Okay.
One of the biggest actually in Canada. So and the slabs are all provided by Novatech.
Okay.
Just a stamping company that makes slabs for doors, right? And there's tons of choices they can choose from, and I mean the area of designs and choices is just unbelievable, and you can choose whatever you like. And what we do is we basically, our partner, they take the door and then they finish it. So they would paint it in a different color, they'd put it in a nicer frame, they would dress it up, they'd put a lock on, a multi-point or a handle or whatever it is.
Most people asking for multi-points these days?
It depends. A lot of people are going for a fiberglass door
Okay.
that's actually 8 foot high, and we always suggest that if they don't want it to warp, they put a multi-point on because it holds it in place, right? Because it's such a high door.
I just like the extra points of contact, right? Like it just, even if
True.
it's a
Yeah,
standard
it's true.
80-inch door, I still like the points of it.
Just to have the extra locking system.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's more safe and whatever, but it's the issue with it is you're limited in the design of the lock. Because you can't just put any lock on it.
No, you've got to go.
You got to go with whatever they have.
Yeah, but that's what I like about it is that the whole locking
guess
mechanism is
it's all
basically on the
together.
spine on the door, right? So
Right,
it's like you're
right.
making it that much stronger.
Yeah,
That's
true.
why I do like it. So,
But then we also have the European doors that we make. So the
So those are bottom and top hinged.
yeah, so they're actually like all around hinged.
Yeah.
So we have the tilt and turn door, which is sort of works like the tilt and turn window, which you can open to the inside and then you can tilt also, which is instead of like a sliding door, a garden door, it works great. And those are again multi-point, but multi-point all around. So it wouldn't be just in on one side. It would be like an all-around closing, and very safe laminate glass, more kind of European looking, and then it's got the retractable screens on it and etc.
How much is security a factor for clients to choose? Like,
I think it should be a factor. I mean, it's there. Again, it's glass, right? So if somebody wants to break in, they'll break the glass. But in terms of, we had some instances where people asked for laminated glass, so it can be broken. I mean, it still can, but it would take, quite.
it takes an effort.
Yeah, it takes
And a lot of noise.
Absolutely. Yeah, somebody would wake up, but it's not like you could just, I tried breaking one. It
takes an effort.
impossible.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So some people are asking. Depends on the area. Depends where they live. Depends what their concerns are. It could get costly.
And so again, are we going back to doors? Are we still people asking the darker black or the wood?
Yeah, darker,
and then black handle.
Pretty much.
Everything like that, huh?
Yeah. Even the gold handles were a thing, and now a thing a little bit.
Oh, I didn't see any of those.
Like,
Okay.
you know how you do, everybody does that sort of the black door and then a gold handle on it?
No.
No, you haven't seen that?
I haven't
Yeah,
seen that. I don't know if I would like that. That's a little
some
bit too
people
contrasty.
A
but-
little bit, yeah. But
Yeah.
like people are doing that for their vanities and kitchens and etc. now. So
Yeah, on the interior, everyone was just going
Yeah.
a little ballistic with the rose gold for a
Right.
while, right? If you can afford
same
it.
as happening. I've seen the doors, the exterior doors coming out with that. Yeah, quite a few. A lot of like fiberglass doors was stained, right? But people are not really putting that wood look anymore. They're kind of going.
Just want the flat panel.
They want flat panel, yeah, pretty much, and a modern like straight design.
Really?
Sometimes you drive in a neighborhood and like everybody has, people trying to be unique, but then everybody has the same door.
Well, it was funny. I think it was 20 years ago. I was the first one in my neighborhood that got a black garage door.
Right.
And
then everybody
I
has-
painted it because they refused to paint it. So that's before the age of
Right.
having it ready. And now everybody's doing black garage
Right.
doors, right? So
Yeah.
it just comes across. I mean, will it go back to the other one? I don't know. You guys also tackle patio doors as well, right?
Yeah. So for patio doors, so I got briefly into the patio doors with the European line. We also have like a bifolding patio door, which is aluminum actually,
Okay.
and stacking patio door, which is the folding one is it like accordion style,
Yeah.
right? And it's got a retractable screen, so it's really cool. Like if you have you basically open up the whole opening can open up to the outside,
What's the biggest you can go?
whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the retractable, the screen?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I just got one on my house. I just built a house, a cottage for me. I have one that's 24 feet across, 24 feet by 10 foot high,
And you have a retractable screen on that too?
and a retractable screen.
So
It comes from 3 parts, but still, I mean.
What do you mean it comes from 3 parts?
So there's 3. So the maximum you can do a retractable screen is 10 feet,
Oh, okay, I got it.
right? So it's not really retractable. It's a like accordion style screen too. So like it looks like little folds in it
Got
when
it.
you open it, right?
But when it's fully closed,
Yeah, it's
It's a
just
screen.
open, right?
okay.
So you put 3 together, you hook one up to the other, and you got 30 feet across.
Which it was 30 feet, 10 feet tall.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
24 feet, but you can-
24 feet. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's big.
a lot, right? And then you open up the whole thing, and you're like, just your whole patio is right there.
So the other ones though, so how big can you make a regular standard sliding door?
So standard sliding doors are, you can go from 5 feet to,
What's the max there?
you can do 16 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, 16 would be the max, and you would have the middle 2 open to the sides. So your middle opening would be approximately 8 feet.
And so
which is
they,
nice.
they come in, what, they're scissoring beside it or?
No, so the scissoring, that's called a stacking door.
Okay.
That's a little bit different when they slide into each other.
Yeah.
But this way, so basically with sliding doors, they're all come standard. They're either 5 feet or 6 feet or 8 feet.
Okay.
Okay. And then from then on, you make combinations. So if you put 2 5-foot doors, that makes it 10 feet. And you can have the middle will open right? So one will slide to one side and one will slide to the other side. And you'll have, I guess, 5 feet in the middle, right, to walk through. And the same goes for a 6-foot door. You can have 12. And for an 8-foot door, you can have 16.
Hey, contractors, we've got a home improvement secret that'll make you the talk of the toolbox. It's Canadian Choice Home Improvements, the Dad Joke Approved Edition. Why did the contractor go to Canadian Choice? Because they nailed it every single time. Whether it's windows, doors, HVAC, air sealing, or installation, Canadian Choice has the build it full solutions you need. They'll make your client's window with delight and door you with quality craftsmanship. And here's a bonus. Canadian Choice offers competitive pricing with a price match guarantee and flexible payment options. So don't screw up your next project. Visit mycanadianchoice.com and tell them you heard the Dad Joke special. Canadian Choice Home Improvements. Got it.
Right? And then the screens would slide from both sides.
And again, same thing. Everyone's choosing the darker colors.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're painting. You guys are painting them on
We
both
paint
sides.
it all in-house, yeah.
Dependent. And then the hardware options, what do you have in?
So hardware options, that they come with some modern designs.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, there's only, I think there's 3 types of handles that you can get, and then just different colors. And they do come with the multi-point locks as well.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. So it's not a 3-way multi-point, it's a 2-way multi-point, but it's still a multi-point.
One on top and bottom, or one in the center?
It's closer to the center.
Okay.
Closer to the center. Like the Euroline doors are more, that's where you're looking at the whole thing kind of closes and, all around, and it's really, you can have a door that's 6 feet wide, for example, and you slide it with one finger.
But how heavy is that door?
It's about 400 kilos, so...
Ooh, almost 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, almost 1,000 pounds, right?
Wow.
And you're sliding it like literally with one finger, just
What's
pushing
the
everything.
secret with that? What is it, like
Just
little...
the mechanisms.
On the bottom
Yeah,
there?
it's called a lift and slide, so it kind of pops out a bit to the inside, and it sits on these like rails that just make it glide sort of thing.
Are clients a little sticker shock when you start talking
Yeah,
price-wise? But I mean,
that's-
they got to understand, and that's what I
sure.
try to explain to them, that do you want to open this up with a finger now and then a
course.
finger later, or do you want a finger now and then a whole hand and
Right.
and the family moving it later on, right?
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
why. So you need a proper door.
Definitely. And then you need a proper, you probably need a proper installation for that as well. So it's not out of, we have about 30 installation crews in-house.
Just for what, the Toronto area?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can maybe, for those doors, I can have maybe two crews install it out of everyone. Probably out of the whole city, there's maybe 5 people that can install these types of doors. So it gets very pricey.
That's what they
obviously.
tackle all the time? That's their go-to?
That's their go-to, and you have to be really specialized. Like you had to kind of, because Canada and US is not the market for these types of doors. So this all came from Europe, whatever, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, wherever it is, and that's where they went through all their training and stuff like that. So that's, you have to get guys that came from there and actually got certified, and it takes a long time. And I mean, the installation processes, sometimes you need a crane just to lift each part of the door over.
Yeah, because they're huge.
Right? They're huge, yeah.
So talking about the installation process, because these guys are coming in, walk us through that whole procedure when they're coming into. So when windows have arrived on site, everything's fine and they're ready to go. Homeowners let you in, and now you
Right.
get started.
So I mean, we walk in. We always make sure that put all the tarps down and kind of protect the house. Right, that's the number one thing, is protect the house. Lots of people have nice stuff. We tell the homeowners ahead of time if there's something that you think may get damaged or you think may happen. Please remove that from the house. Please give us access. We need at least a good 4 or 5 feet around the windows to work.
Yeah.
Right, on the inside, and then on the outside, let's say they have bushes or some expensive flowers or whatever it is, right? So we have to make arrangements for that ahead of time. And usually what happens is after the job has been sold or they've bought for us, what we do is we send a measure technician out, and he comes out on board and assesses the whole situation. So everything. So from, access to the house, access to the driveway,
Smart.
kind of going up and seeing what's going to happen, taking actual measurement sizes, because they have to be exact, right? We got to be within ½ inch. And sometimes,
You mean
just
the opening there?
the opening, yeah.
Yeah. So
We have-
you're giving yourself a quarter around the perimeter.
Right.
Got it.
And, sometimes you don't know, because what happens is the house is very old. something's been done, double framed, whatever it is. You get on site, we start, the measuring guy came out, he saw it, he measured it. You get there, you start taking it apart, completely wrong. Right. Then
It's a house.
yeah, it's
Especially
a house.
the older homes.
Right. And it happens actually more often than more often than we would like, but it's just the nature of homes is, especially the older ones, is like that, right? So when the installation happens, the installers arrive. Before they remove a window, they actually measure it to make sure we got the right window, the right the right window there to install, and basically cover everything up and start working. So first they remove the old, prepare the opening, right, completely. So they get rid of all the whatever is there, make sure it's square and plumb. Put the new windows in, shim it, put foam, finish it on the outside, finish it on the inside. After that's all done, they show the homeowner this is what it is, right? And we get it ready for paint. So if it's actually wood on the inside, so we get it ready for painting.
Okay.
Right.
The jam extension.
The jam extensions, the casing, whatever
The casing,
it is, because we do the casing as well, in most of the time, right?
It's per house, right? So it depends
Yeah.
on the situation.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah, if it's an old enough house, then you might not be able to.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. So sometimes there's three different types of installations, right? Like when we do retrofit, we don't touch the casing. We just take out the old sash. We put the new window in.
Yep.
Finish it from the inside and just put like quarter round in the. Finish it from the outside and put quarter round from the inside.
Yeah.
When it's sort of like the cookie cutter homes, we do what's called a stud to stud, or whatever is known a brick to brick installation.
Yeah.
And that this way we rip out everything that's like we go right to the studs, and that's when the new jams come in and the new window comes in and the new casing comes in. And that's probably the most popular way to go.
What's the third is brand new.
Third is brand new, or what we do, because we have a 4.5-inch window, we don't need to finish it from the outside a lot of times, especially in the newer homes. Which is because our window now sits close to the brick, it only requires caulking. So when we pull it out, we measure the window bigger. So it kind of gives us the benefit of, that's another benefit of the 4.5-inch window.
Yeah, it
is
makes
we
it
can
look
make it
more
bigger.
custom, right?
Right.
And it fits perfectly for that opening.
Exactly. And you don't have to have a brick mold on the outside to make a mold, which is from the outside, it gives a visual that it looks, that it's a bigger glass.
Are you getting a lot of clients asking you about just the recyclable, the eco, the energy efficiency?
Energy efficiency is the most.
For sure. But I mean, how do you quantify all that? How do you, if you've got I guess you have to first assess the house before you take out the old units.
Right.
And then assess the house again after you put in the new units.
Right. So because of all these rebates that are around right now, and we arrange all this from A to Z, we work with auditors that go in and they do what's called a blower test.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of it, right? So they do a blower test, and the blower test just shows them everything. And then when we come back, we say, okay, so you need this replaced. 75% of the time, they recommend windows need to be replaced, right? As a prime recommendation.
Yeah.
And then the rest is, it's kind of like it's on the homeowner to get it replaced. So then after we replace it, they come back and they do the test again, see if there's any air leaks or anything like that. Just this way we see the difference.
So budget-wise, I'm just curious on what you want to share. And it's hard to say because we don't know the size of the house, how many units there are. But I have an idea of what you should be paying. And if you start paying half of that amount, then you're obviously getting bad window units and bad workmanship. Right. So you should, like my friend there, like he paid ridiculous.
Right.
Like it was next to nothing, and it just made no sense. And sure enough, they failed. So, budget-wise, what should homeowners be thinking about when they're looking at changing all their units in a house? If it's an average house, let's say these days, whatever, 2,000 square foot house.
I would say an average, I'd probably go per panel of the windows. So probably about $1,000.
on average,
per
right?
window.
And then you've got something that's slightly lower and something that's slightly higher, right?
Exactly.
From that point.
Right.
And that's just unit, or that's also including the install.
Well, including the install, and that's like sort of taking into consideration that it's going to be painted and it's going to be, it's going to be like a triple glass, painted, finished, and everything. So about that, about $1,000 per kind of panel, right?
And then warranties
Yeah. So we have a 25-year warranty and everything. Labor,
on all of them.
all of them.
And the install as well too?
Install as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The install never fails.
Yeah.
Just because it's we know how, I mean, we've been doing it for so long, so we know how to do it, right? What can fail are the glass units, and that's obvious, right? So we service them. I mean, there's all the all the glass unit providers give us a great warranty that we can back on. So it's not even on the homeowner itself. It's not even on us. It actually goes back to them. So we demand warranty from them, and we have the power to kind of demand that the warranty gets done, the warranty products.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of the smaller guys, smaller manufacturers, they don't order enough volume, or they don't do enough volume. So what happens is the warranty doesn't, let's say a glass unit fails, they go back to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer says, sorry, too bad.
But you guys don't do that.
We don't, just because we have power over certain manufacturers
Yeah.
of these glass units, right?
And that warranty is also applicable to all the hardware and everything?
Everything,
So
yeah.
doorknobs, hinges.
Whatever.
all
Well,
that
not
stuff.
doorknobs, because they're not ours. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
So
But cranking mechanisms.
Yeah, cranking
hardwares
mechanisms.
and doors, tilt and,
Right.
tilt and turn.
everything.
All that stuff, right? That's what I figured. And then is there a situation sometimes that I guess you come across that you'll have to repair?
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, whether it's not,
Yeah,
it
sure,
could have been siblings that were fighting, and one
Sure.
big sibling threw one sibling through the door,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something like that,
happens.
and there was a dent or something like that. Whatever, it could be a repair that way, right?
It happens, yeah.
Yeah.
With doors, it's a little bit different. Actually, doors are there's a different warranty on doors, just because it's a different use product, because there's a lot of openings. So doors actually don't last 25 years
What's the warranty
on
on
average.
them?
I think doors around it's 10 years, right? And doors don't last as long as windows do, just because
You're
people
constantly open.
opening it, constantly stepping on the threshold, constantly banging on it, constantly. And actually 10 years is pretty, that's that's a lot, right? Just the abuse that it gets.
Now I want to go back to Mother Nature, right?
Yeah.
So it's like driving rain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are some of the details that you guys have in your units that helps out with preventing Mother Nature from entering the home?
From rain. So casement, and again, that goes back to the whole casement sliding double hung windows, right? So casement windows are 100% foolproof against rain. You're never going to get rain with casement windows. Just the way it's designed, it's all closed, it's all hermetically closed. There's weather stripping everywhere. Now, when you get into sliding windows, the way they're designed is to slide, and when the sashes slide, obviously there's some kind of air penetration,
Yeah.
right? So they're designed that when the water falls where the sashes are, there are drainage ports, and through these drainage ports it goes to the outside. Now, in some instances, if somebody doesn't have a soffit, if somebody doesn't have, if the rain, just the angle of the rain, and that's not just our windows, that's just an industry kind of thing, that on sliding windows, the water doesn't have enough time to drain, right? And then also some homeowners, they forget to wash their windows sometimes from the outside.
Yeah, and you'll get some buildup of grime and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And the water can't drain either, right? So it collects on the inside sometimes, and then when the freezing temperatures come, freezes up.
See, that's what you do when you open up your windows in between seasons.
Absolutely.
You start realizing that there's a little bit of dirt on them. So guess what? Surprise, surprise, you clean them now.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And then
there's lots of education that we have to do, right?
Yeah, and then that's key. I don't want homeowners to think, or anybody to think, that all of a sudden, here's the product, it's in, it's done, we'll walk away, see that it's gone. No, it doesn't work that way. Like, there's still maintenance attached to that.
Absolutely. It definitely is.
I know they install. I don't know the name of it, but installers, they don't use the typical go-to glass cleaner. They use a different kind of glass cleaner. Do you remember what that is?
Well,
Like a foam. It's a foam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's different brands, right? But we suggest, actually, for homeowners, water and vinegar.
Oh, you guys are
Not
still
with
going
us.
back to that, huh?
Yeah.
Because that still works
Best
really
way.
well.
Best way.
I remember seeing some of the glass guys were using the foam thing, and I was
They
pretty
can.
impressed with that, right? But then you start seeing the price of the can, and you're like,
Right.
I'm not that impressed anymore. I'm going back to
Exactly. You're
the
gonna wash
vinegar.
one window. It's gonna cost you $10 or whatever. Right? You're gonna be like, forget about
Give
it.
me the vinegar, put
Yeah.
it on the hot dog, and then I'll
Absolutely.
put it on the window and clean it up. That's
Absolutely.
it. Yeah,
That's
no.
non-abrasive. It does the job very well. Right. Just like a squeegee, and that is more than enough.
Because they do get, over seasons, they do get dirty on the inside
They
and
do, yeah,
outside,
sure.
right?
Of course.
So
And we suggest a squeegee, right? Not just a mop, just like a shower door or whatever you would use in your shower.
it works better that way.
It doesn't leave streaks, right? Because with like a what do you call it? With a sponge, yeah, sort of. You would see streaks eventually.
Oh, so
especially
when
on the
you're
outside.
using a paper towel or whatever,
Yeah.
or newsprint
Yeah.
or whatever.
Especially on the outside, because you get a lot of oils and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, like whatever's in the air, you get that, right? So if you use a squeegee, it looks a lot cleaner.
How educated are homeowners these days? Are they confused by
Yeah, I
social media noise and Google noise?
Oh,
and
definitely.
they try to do a search, replacing windows. And then, but that's you guys having to come in and now, not necessarily like just kind of explaining the options that are on the table here.
Absolutely. So it's all about education. I mean, it's a lot of it is, and we train a lot of our sales guys. Well, all of our sales guys, they go through a like tedious process that you have to educate us to, forget about the price. Just obviously not forget about the price, but put it aside for a second. Explain what the people would actually need. Make sure they listen to you. Because a lot of these things happen when it's not communicated the proper way, and if it's not communicated the proper way, there's a lot of misconceptions, especially with Facebook and whatever, and you're seeing all these ads and all these people pop up from different angles and talk about stuff that just is doesn't look like it's not a. It doesn't look like it's something not true. It looks actually pretty true because you saw it on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But then in reality, it's non-existent.
But it's a marketing ploy at that
Exactly.
point, right?
It's a marketing
That's all it is, right?
And so and especially for just any construction industry, and especially in when we're talking about volumes, there's a lot of marketing involved, obviously, right? And leads that's what drives the business end of the day, right?
So this has been my challenge sometimes with clients, that you get a couple that wants two different styles.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in every house you have more than one type of unit that you're going to be using depending on the layout of the house or the purpose of the room. How do you navigate that conversation with the couples where one wants one style, one wants another style, and
You let them fight it.
you just let them duke it out?
Let them fight it over. Fight over it.
Here are the options on the table, and you guys
pretty much.
decide. But here's your professional opinion on. Okay, this is a bedroom. This is a bathroom. This is a living room. This is what we're recommending.
Usually, it's more on color than style. The style is with Windows style is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really you have a bathroom window. You either want it to slide or you want it to crank. It's not a big deal. It's more on the color itself. And it's just actually which made it a lot easier now that everybody wants black because it's black. That's it, or white, or whatever, iron or.
I guess your question is like black on the outside and white on the inside.
Pretty much.
You want black on both sides, right?
Right. But in terms of styles of the windows, it's house calls for it. If you have a traditional house, in let's say, or like with siding or whatever, you're gonna put probably hung windows or sliding windows, and then it depends on your budget too, right? So if you have like casement windows, are obviously a little more expensive,
Yeah.
right? A little more pricey just because of the mechanisms and the way they are.
Are you seeing a difference across the country on? I can only assume that the Maritimes versus Toronto versus out west, they're kind of gearing off towards different styles of units.
A little bit, yeah. Toronto's got everything.
Yeah, that's just a mixed bag.
Yeah, just a mix. But if you look at the smaller cities, they're a little bit kind of still on the
Horse and
sort of
buggy.
traditional. Yeah, pretty much more traditional
Yeah.
than so.
So they'll go double,
Exactly.
right? They'll offer that. They'll be interested in that more
Right.
than they will like a tilt and turn kind of unit.
Right.
But I can assume that
And like Vancouver,
Vancouver's
right,
all tilt
yeah.
and turn and large openings probably.
Right. So Vancouver is all about like tilt and turn and those folding doors that I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's all about that because they want to go outside, right?
It's just big, massive. It's
Yeah.
just, I just look at those walls and I look at a lot of steel.
Yeah.
I'm sure
pretty
your
much.
cottage has a lot of steel in there. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of LVLs.
A lot of LVLs. Actually, a lot of steel for a cottage. Definitely, it's not
Yeah,
a
it's a
big
lot.
place. It's just
Yeah.
but it's got a lot of steel.
But the opening there, I could just see
Right.
the engineer just signing off. Yeah, sure, steel.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Pretty much.
Somebody got to carry it up there.
Yeah.
Are you a contractor looking for a reliable partner in home improvements? Look no further than Canadian Choice Home Improvements. Canadian Choice has been the go-to choice for contractors across Canada for over 30 years. With their commitment to quality and customer satisfaction, they're the perfect match for your contracting business. Whether it's windows, doors, HVAC, or installation, Canadian Choice has a wide range of top-notch products that will impress your clients. Their expert team will guide you through the selection process and ensure you find the perfect fit for every project. And that's not all. Canadian Choice offers competitive pricing and flexible payment options, making it easier for you to manage your projects without breaking the bank. So if you're a contractor looking for a trusted home improvement partner, contact Canadian Choice Home Improvements today. Visit their website at mycanadianchoice.com, Canadian Choice Home Improvements, where quality and craftsmanship meet contractor satisfaction. Just two colors, eh?
Mostly today is. I mean, some people are still going for the grays. That's kind of, sort of coming back, but not on the inside, right? Not on the interior. So, what I've actually seen is people going for gray on the outside, like a deep gray, like a charcoal, and then black on the inside.
Okay.
So, and the matte paint is really the thing that everybody wants right now.
I mean, most homeowners are not willing to take a risk, and they want to try to be as safe as possible.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, the worst thing that any homeowner can ask me is my opinion, because I don't live here. It's not my house, right? So if you guys are going to throw a for sale sign, then whatever.
For sure.
Keep it safe. I get it. But as long as you're using good products, that's all I care about, is what I say.
Absolutely.
Don't use inferior products because of the number and you're trying to save or whatever. Use good products so then they'll actually last a long time.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing, right?
Simple as that. Design-wise, that can always get changed and whatever.
Right. As long as you don't go with anything crazy, it's okay. And even if somebody wants, if somebody wants to repaint their windows, you still can do that.
How, really?
Yeah, we have so we actually, mistakes do happen. So actually happened to a friend of mine that bought windows for me, and I got him the wrong color because he asked me, and don't do business with friends, and I got him the wrong color. So I sent somebody out and we painted it right inside.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could do that.
You can do it. So there's a special same paint that we use in shop. It's just it's the work is a little more tedious, right? Because you have to tape everything all around and etc. You have to make sure that the day it's not windy on that day. And
was he happy? He was probably really happy.
Yeah, he was happy. Yeah,
that's interesting. But that's a special case, or is that
we could do it? I mean, we've had people ask. It's hard to find. I probably was asked more times than I could actually do it, because you really need specialists to do it. It's not not your average paint guy that can do this.
Which brings me up to I'm assuming you guys. How many installers you mentioned earlier on the show that?
We have 30 here in GTA.
Yeah. Are you always looking for new installers?
Always.
And what makes a good installer?
I think experience. I think organization is the number one thing, and we always want to make sure this person is organized. So when we come, our installations manager has been in business for a really long time, and he knows what to look for. He can always tell you like this in a second if the guy is going to be good or not, right? You just come out, you see his truck, if it's tools are clean, everything is there. If he showed up on time, if he's, his pants are not dirty or whatever it is, right? The way he speaks to customers and etc. So, that's what makes it. And then obviously the skill is the skill. So the more experience you have, the better skill you're going to get. But because we have processes in place where we make sure that the job is done well, we have inspectors go on site and check them out and etc. Right? Like our own internal inspection teams. Our most of them can do great work. It's just a matter of getting organized, showing up on time, making sure to take their time when they're actually not to rush. And at the end of the day, it all, a guy wants to get, he knows that he's got to stay an extra day. He obviously wants to get paid for that extra day.
Yeah. And
at the end of the day, it's
construction.
Construction, right?
That's what it is.
Right.
I know we talked about the incentives. You mentioned that, which is great. And it's great that you guys are also just the whole follow-up with maintenance and everything like that as well with the clients, right?
Yeah. So what we do is we have actually a dedicated service department. We have 3 service guys here just in GTA, and then all across we have in every location we have dedicated service guys and a service team and a call center that anything happens, people call us. We tend to answer 48 to 72 hours. We do the intake. If it's an emergency, we'll be there within 24. If it's something that needs parts or whatever, we'll take care of it within 48 to 72 hours generally.
I guess an emergency, what, baseball ball kind of went through or something like that?
Water leakage, whatever happens.
Okay, yeah.
Most of the water leaks happen from the roof, but we replace something. For example, we replace a window. Somebody missed something. The part of the building envelope, something pulled on something else. Shingles flew off. Water is leaking inside the house when it rains. We'll be there,
Got it.
right there, right? There's a lot of, we do a lot of cutouts and etc. So that could also, like for example, if you had a wall, 6-foot wall, and you wanted to make it or 6-foot opening, you wanted to make it a 12-foot opening, we can do that as well. Brick, siding, whatever it is, right?
Oh, and
That's just redo the whole thing. It's a big job.
Yeah,
right?
it's a big job, right?
And sometimes it's not, things could happen in that, but we make sure to come back, fix it, so everything is done properly.
Nice. All right. We're getting close to the end here. You ready for the 12 questions?
Sure. 12?
There's 12 questions. I want to make sure that I've covered everything. Actually, I do have one more question for you to ask you. So the corners, I want to get more information about the corners. I know you mentioned earlier that they're welded.
Right.
So tell me more about the corners and the construction of them.
So it's just fusion welded. So when we cut the vinyl, a lot of windows, when they're made, there's a lot of waste on the vinyl itself.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens is we fusion weld the corners. We have a machine it's called a 4-point welder. And basically we put, 4 profiles together, cut to the size of the window. It welds everything. I don't remember, 300 some. I'm not going to say it. I don't remember the exact number, but
it's not science class right now.
Yeah, not science class, but it welds it together and then it gets sent to a corner because vinyl leaves sort of like a lip.
Yeah.
Right. Then it gets sent to the corner cleaner and then it CNCs that out. So you get a nice clean window come out of there.
The machine's actually called the corner cleaner, or is it
actually called a 4-point corner cleaner?
Oh, really? Yeah?
Yeah.
Corner cleaner.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
CNC corner cleaner. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You get a lot of clients that are, you get neighbors, like you mentioned earlier, that some neighbors will complain about certain units being installed, and they're asking whether or not. This happens in every neighborhood, right?
Everywhere, right?
But I guess the other thing is that clients have to be conscious of the neighborhood.
Of course.
You can't be going in and all of a sudden putting in pink windows just because you feel like you want pink windows, right? Like you got to be a little conscious of the neighborhood.
Some people still do it.
They still do it. I know. I still see green shingle roofs. Yeah. Like I just don't get it, but I still see certain things. And I guess you get away with it more often in Toronto because people have their own style.
Right. Right. But when people can, especially in Toronto, when people can like the neighbors are very protective of their neighborhood.
Yeah.
So when stuff does get changed inside the house, or like the sizes of windows or whatever, mostly, right, in our case anyway, that's when people start to that's when, so homeowners start to get in trouble. So now we don't do anything without a permit. I mean, we make the
any large openings,
any enlargement whatsoever.
Yeah, you have to,
right?
Because you know that it's coming.
Exactly. So because we don't want that responsibility, and it should be on the homeowner anyway. And we want to know that if we cut the brick in this house, that it's not going to fall on us. Right?
Yeah, of course. So you guys have in-house people that would take care of that? You're subbing.
We just sub that out.
Sub that out. Yeah. That's what I
Well, we
figured.
have in-house people that actually make the cuts, right? Like we a bricklayer and
Yeah.
actually does it, but for engineering we sub it out.
Of course, yeah.
So we have an engineer. We just send it to him all the time. It takes usually about to get permits done in the city. It's about 4 weeks or so, right?
Yeah,
Roughly,
right.
it's about that.
That's about right.
And we have a detailed diagram as to what we should do because we don't always know. Sometimes the diagrams are different. Sometimes the inspector says or the city says you need like a 2x8, right? And sometimes says you need a 2x12.
Well, sometimes there's surprises in the wall
and
that
surprises
you don't
in
know,
the-
right?
right,
There could be
exactly.
certain mechanical running through
Yeah.
the wall where the client wants the extra opening.
Right.
So you got to factor, and you won't know until you open that up. even though
Absolutely.
You're submitting a permit for it, then you got to figure that out, right?
Right. So there's a lot of on the homeowner. I mean, we help out as much as we can,
Yeah.
but there's still a lot on the homeowner if they're planning to do major renovations. Major stuff like this, like moving stuff and etc.
Awesome. Simon, all right.
Yeah.
Ready for the 12 questions?
Sure.
Dun, 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 dun. What is your favorite construction word?
Favorite construction word?
Word.
I'm guessing level.
It's a good word. Good word. What is your least favorite construction word?
Opposite of level. Just kidding.
Is that what you're going to go with? You
Sure.
can go with that.
Sure, we
There's
can
no
go
right
with
or
that.
wrong. What turns you on in construction?
The finished product.
What turns you off in construction?
The I guess the mess.
Yep. What's your favorite curse word? You don't have to swear. Maybe unless you want to.
The usual. Nothing
The
crazy.
F-bomb?
Yeah.
What's your favorite vehicle in the entire world?
Favorite vehicle.
Anything in the world. We've had people say space shuttle too.
Uh,
This could be anything.
Porsche, like a 911.
All right. What's your least favorite vehicle?
Least favorite, like a minivan.
Like Caravan.
Yeah, like one of those.
Beige
Caravan.
or something
Yeah.
like that? Or no, the Burgundy Caravan. What
Burgundy.
construction sound or noise do you love?
So I love the drill.
Impact or Joe Driver?
No, the impact. Yeah,
The
you're right.
Impact, yeah. What construction sound or noise do you hate?
Saw.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt one day?
No, retiree.
It's a good profession. What profession would you not like to do?
Probably accounting.
Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
Welcome home.
That's all he needs to say. Simon, thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being on the show and enlightening us with so much information, man.
I appreciate having you.
Canadian Choice Windows and Doors Vice President, www.windowscanada.com, Simon at windowscanada.com, and find them on social media, Canadian_choice. And that's it.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks
thanks,
for having me.
Simon. All right, Angeline, we're out of here.